What if I told you that a single announcement published just hours ago has sent shockwaves through the global financial community, leaving investors speechless and currency analysts scrambling to verify what appears to be one of the biggest monetary shifts Iraq has made in years? And if you're watching this right now, then hit the like button, subscribe, and make sure you stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to reveal could reshape what millions of people thought they knew about the future of the Iraqi dinar and the long-debated revaluation narrative that has captured global attention for over a decade, as the official Iraqi Gazette has finally released an updated IQD rate that has sparked massive celebration among investors, intense debate among economists, and more questions than answers among newcomers suddenly discovering why the Iraqi currency has been one of the most talked about speculative investments in modern history. And as we begin diving into this breaking development, I want you to comment below with your first reaction to hearing that the Gazette has officially adjusted the rate, because your comment could be featured in our next video, and I'm genuinely curious to know how many viewers have been following this journey closely versus those just now realizing how monumental this moment might be. So let's break down exactly what makes this Gazette publication so extraordinary, starting with the fact that Iraq's official Gazette is not a blog or a rumor mill or some unofficial channel, but the government's authoritative publication source where only verified legal and economic changes are posted, which means this rate adjustment is not speculation, not hearsay, not influencer hype, but a real and confirmed update that carries significant implications for Iraq's long-term financial path. And the reason this is important is simple. The Iraqi dinar has spent years locked into a strict and carefully controlled monetary framework where even small rate adjustments are usually planned months or years in advance. So when a shift appears suddenly, it ignites global attention because it might indicate deeper reforms, policy changes, or structural movements that outsiders have been waiting for. And this single announcement has done exactly that by creating a wave of excitement among investors who believe this may be the first step toward an eventual revaluation, or at least a meaningful appreciation that could elevate Iraq's purchasing power on the international stage. But beyond the excitement, the real question everyone is now asking is what triggered this update? Why now? And what exactly does it signal about Iraq's economic confidence? Because historically Iraq has only adjusted its currency rate when preparing to stabilize the market, curb inflation, respond to oil-driven revenue shifts, or align local currency strength with long-term national goals. And considering Iraq's recent progress in digital banking reforms, anti-corruption crackdowns, budget realignments, and strengthened oil export positions, it becomes clearer why economists believe this rate update is not random but part of a calculated financial strategy that points toward increasing Iraq's economic competitiveness. And as we continue unraveling this development, I need you to stay locked in, because the next part of this video explores what this updated rate actually means for dinar holders, what analysts are predicting, and whether this moment marks the early stages of something much bigger than a simple adjustment. Now that we've established why the Gazette publication is such a pivotal moment, we need to examine what this updated IQD rate means for current and future investors, and why the reactions across online investor communities have been so explosive. And to begin with, it's important to understand that the Iraqi dinar's value has always been influenced by a blend of political stability, oil-based revenue strength, monetary policy direction, and Iraq's ability to integrate into global financial systems, because despite its vast natural resources and rapidly expanding economic reform projects, Iraq has historically faced structural challenges that kept the dinar undervalued in comparison to what many believe is its true potential purchasing power. And this is why today's update is triggering so much excitement. When a government publishes an adjusted currency rate in its official Gazette, it indicates more than a simple number change. It signals a shift in confidence, economic direction, and long-term strategic intent, which is exactly why investors are celebrating what they view as one of the clearest signs yet that Iraq may be slowly preparing for broader monetary reforms. And for those holding IQD, this is a moment of validation, because for years the revaluation community has been divided between those waiting for government-driven change and those skeptical of any sudden currency movement. But now, with a government-verified update published in the most authoritative source possible, the conversation is shifting from speculation to analysis, and investors are asking deeper questions about how far this financial strategy might go. And one of the major talking points right now is whether this Gazette update suggests that Iraq is positioning itself for greater integration with international financial platforms as the process of modernizing the banking sector, introducing global payment systems, and strengthening digital banking infrastructure has been one of the key pillars of Iraq's recent reform strategy. And currencies generally do not strengthen sustainably unless the underlying financial infrastructure supports stability, transparency, and accessibility, which Iraq has been working on for several years through central bank initiatives designed to curb corruption, enhance regulatory compliance, and attract international partnerships. And from this perspective, the Gazette's updated rate is being interpreted by experts as a signal that Iraq is aligning its monetary framework with long-term economic expansion goals, which naturally increases investor speculation around future IQD value appreciation. But even as analysts debate the potential for upward movement, it's essential for investors to maintain realistic expectations because currency revaluations are complex and rarely happen overnight, though they often begin with subtle moves like the one we are seeing now. And that's why many experienced watchers believe this Gazette update might be the beginning of a phased monetary strategy designed to gradually strengthen the dinar without destabilizing local markets, because sudden extreme increases in value usually create economic shockwaves that countries prefer to avoid. However, a controlled appreciation based on improved national revenue, stronger foreign reserves, digital infrastructure upgrades, and rising international confidence is a far more sustainable path, which makes today's Gazette update a significant hint that Iraq's long-term plan may finally be entering an active stage. So stay with me as we move into the next section, because the deeper implications of this change could shape the currency's direction for years to come. As we move into the most important part of this analysis, we need to look forward and explore what this updated IQD rate means for the future trajectory of Iraq's currency, the realistic possibilities for appreciation, and whether this Gazette publication could become the defining moment that investors point back to as the beginning of Iraq's monetary transformation. And to understand where this might lead, we must acknowledge that over the last several years Iraq has steadily positioned itself for a more influential role in global economics by stabilizing its political environment, increasing oil output, strengthening trade relationships, and implementing aggressive banking sector reforms that have been specifically designed to elevate the dinar's reliability both locally and internationally, which means that any newly published rate must be interpreted through the lens of stability, confidence, and forward momentum, because governments typically adjust currency rates only when they are confident in the foundation supporting those changes. And that's exactly why analysts are calling this update a breakthrough moment, since it suggests that Iraq is confident enough in its economic direction to take a public step toward reshaping how the world values its currency. And for investors, the most common question now is whether this is the start of a revaluation, a gradual appreciation, or simply a technical recalibration. But based on the country's recent financial behavior, many experts believe this update aligns more closely with a phase strengthening approach, because Iraq has been focusing heavily on rebuilding trust in its financial system through digital modernization, anti-corruption reforms, international banking compliance, and long-term policy stability, which are exactly the foundational elements required before a currency can sustainably rise in value. And if Iraq maintains this path, then the updated Gazette rate could mark the first phase of a long-term restructuring that aims to gradually elevate the dinar to a more globally competitive level. And while this doesn't guarantee an overnight explosion in value, it does signal a shift that could open new opportunities for both domestic and international investors, especially those who have been waiting for a government-confirmed indicator of progress, which is what makes today so important. Because for the first time in a long time, Iraq has taken a public and transparent step that aligns with investor expectations and economic forecasting models. And as the world continues watching how Iraq handles its next fiscal cycle, budget implementation, international trade agreements, and monetary policy adjustments, the dinar could become increasingly influential across regional markets. But the key takeaway for viewers right now is simple. This Gazette update is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a new chapter that could shape everything that comes next. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve, then you must monitor each publication, each policy announcement, and each economic reform as Iraq continues building toward a stronger financial future. So if you found this breakdown valuable, make sure you smash the like button, share this video with at least one investor friend, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for the latest breaking updates, because what happens next could be bigger than any of us expect, and you won't want to miss the next major development.